returning guest, one of the most sought after guests of all time.
Up chat.
Andrew Callahan in the building. We are going to be talking about a lot of stuff today, but specifically, he just has a new documentary that just came out on HBO. It's crazy. This guy's a documentarian.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
It's going to be pretty insane when you win awards, actually.
You think I'm going to?
I think so, 100%.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just
I think you
came out.
deserve
I'm
it.
Tripping. It's like HBO. It's really happening.
Are people hitting you up already? Like you woke up and you came here.
You're the first guy that I've actually talked to in person since the movie released on HBO Max. So
That's fucking sick.
I hope people like it.
I watched it this morning. I loved it. But then again, I'm a little biased. You know what I'm saying? Like I always used to tell you, like, the only thing I hate about your series that you do on YouTube is that, like, I wish it was longer. And then you did that. You did a 1 hour and 30 minute long YouTube video.
It was supposed to be called America itself, but HBO's legal team was not going for that one.
Okay, well, they that's an L that they took there. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so can you ask about a possible UK release? Wait.
Yeah, so right now HBO is in the process of like selling the movie to different countries and different distributors. So it should be available in Europe and in Canada like within a few months, but it's going to be just US for. I'm excited to give some context for the Q family and how I met them too, because there's a lot of stuff you can't see in the documentary.
Here, we'll just start off with a trailer. Actually,
yeah, for sure.
Let's just show the trailer. It's called This Place Rules.
98% of the media have a leftist agenda.
Oh my God, she was fucking insane.
Spoiler, she's a rapper.
Yeah.
And people say that I have a sixth sense for finding rappers, but she actually found me and started rapping. She said she learned to rap because she was a substitute teacher in the hood. Yeah. And that's how she was able to connect with her students, which to me is so fucking funny.
It's such a white person thing to say, to be like, that's the only way I could talk to these black kids. Like, it's like they're like a different fucking breed or something. Yeah. Psycho. Anyway.
Animal human clones.
This is the best part. There's so many good parts.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Individually, it's like top 3.
Yeah, This Place Rules is out on HBO, and I watched it earlier this morning, and it was fucking awesome. Okay,
thanks,
one thing I will say is I actually hate when I see like callbacks to 2020. When I see it on like movies, like oh, it's the pandemic. Like Glass Onion, which just came out on Netflix. It's the second part of like the murder mystery to Knives Out, starring Daniel Craig. Had a lot of those components in it. Like they were all like wearing masks and stuff, and it like made me cringe. This, on the other hand, did not make me cringe. It was it showed the mania of 2020 perfectly.
Yeah,
I would say.
Well, thank you. I tried to make it retrospective in a way that was like examining it from now, as opposed to trying to recreate like fervor and panic of that period of time.
Yeah.
Also, it's not really about January 6th specifically. It's about like the lead up and the undercurrents of that time that are still very much present and active today. So we tried to do as much as we could to like make it relevant. But at the same time, I would have preferred the movie came out, to be honest, like, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But making a long feature like this with an actual production company, it takes a long time. It's definitely it was a change, but I'm excited about it.
It was also not dehumanizing to the people you were interviewing, although it's still entertaining and funny. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
That is something that we talked about on the podcast as well. This is like Andrew's forte is just.
Did you see the scene with my little cousin, my 8-year-old cousin?
Yeah,
that was my favorite part.
I love your uncle being like, don't do any of that fucking weird shit.
That's a real voice message from my Uncle Jeff.
Which is so funny. He's like,
don't take my son to a Q rally.
Yeah, don't do any of that fucking weird shit.
No furries, no.
That was great.
I'm glad you liked it, man.
Yeah, it is wild to see your career. As Cool Bivens points out, it's insane to see how far you've come since I found Quarter Confessions. You deserve all the praise, man. Congrats, for real.
Thanks.
It is wild. Only a couple years ago you were doing that.
I made my first video in the December of 2018. So
we started. That's like pretty much when I started doing Twitch.
It's been about 4 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. You were like the first streamer that I actually thought was tight.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And now that you know more streamers, you know that is firmly the truth.
I still basically just know you.
All right, so This Place Rules came out. I watched this morning. I fucking loved it. Okay, there are a lot. I've always, like I said before, I've always seen like Andrew's content as like a perfect companion piece to what I do here on the stream as well. Like reaching out to people in ways that I never could imagine or do. He's a brilliant interviewer, not contentious, does a really good job of like showcasing people's like true beliefs and perspectives in a way that, still doesn't work to like do propaganda for them either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is part of the reason why I think they get mad at you afterwards.
Who in particular?
Well, Alex Jones got mad at you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It is hard though, 'cause you can't really fit this movie into a particular box. That's why the CNN interview with Don Lemon was so awkward.
We're gonna get to that in a second, but before we talk about the CNN interview, I want to show one of the incredible dualities that you pointed out to in the American experience within the docuseries or within the documentary itself. First, we're gonna talk about the Q family.
So to clarify, this is a family that I met outside of the Georgia governor's house. It was during a protest during the Stop the Steal movement. They were outside of his house demanding that he overturn the election results because, as you know, Georgia was a blue state in 2020. So this is outside of his house. Fun fact, this is an event where the keynote speakers at this small rally were Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. So they delivered speeches about 30 minutes after I first met the Q family. So the Q family is actually called the Spencer family, and I had never seen someone this young at a right-wing political rally. And so what you're seeing here is the first interaction I ever had with these folks. So there was no, this is just the raw footage of the first meeting.
Child molester. And he kidnaps children and does horrible things to them. Just like Hillary Clinton and Obama, who made the virus. The virus is man-made. It doesn't exist. Kids need to be put back in school.
The people who are pulling the strings is the Italian Vatican. They actually are reptilian bloodlines from another planet. They're basically robots. And the evil people that are there, such as the Rothschilds, who suck blood out of children to get...
I mean, yeah, this is like, he's entirely too young to be this like mentally ill, but he got it from his dad.
I think he's just consumed in like the science fiction sounding mythology of it all. Because, you know, kids have big imaginations, so this is like a pretty compelling way to connect with your dad too. They don't like play catch together, they just like sit around and talk about deep state cabals.
Yeah, I mean,
their form of bonding.
Exactly. You get into whatever your father's into, and unfortunately, the dad is into like really the awful shit.
What's funny though is he wasn't before, you know, like 3 months prior. So it only took a few months for his dad Brandon to be fully consumed in the Q sphere.
Yeah. And he's I mean, let's not spoil what happens to them. You got to watch the documentary,
So
but like
for context, in the second part of this film, I meet back up with the family like maybe 4 or 5 months after January 6th to kind of evaluate where they're at, if they're still deep in the Q hole, and it was very interesting. So check it out.
So one thing though that I found to be particularly interesting about this is that like you basically said something that I've been talking about for a very long time, which is that like a lot of the QAnon people are in these like socially alienated, isolated bubbles, and they create a sense of community for themselves. But more importantly than that, the people that like flew to the Capitol to do January 6th, to like do the insurrection, like those people, this is a hobby for them.
Yeah.
Whereas this part of this part that I thought was like really interesting because you showcase it right next to one another, people protesting police brutality.
Yeah.
In their towns,
And
like
so the reason this kind of came together is because the Q family doesn't live in like the bumfuck sticks of a middle of nowhere type vibes. They actually live in Atlanta proper. On their block, like they have Trump flags and QAnon flags and shit, but every other house on their block has like no human is illegal, water is a human right. Those yard signs, like they're on a pretty heavy like a Joe Brandon block.
Yeah.
And so they're pretty much half a mile away from like most of the projects that are in South Atlanta. And so right before I met them, there was this officer involved deadly shooting of Rashard Brooks. And so I kind of just abandoned like my Stop the Steal beat for about 3 or 4 days and just kind of dived into this world.
So let's take a look.
Police chief just stepping.
I mean, both of these people, in my opinion, are not engaging in the real political battle, and both of them are not engaging in the real political battle because they recognize their maybe they don't directly recognize their powerlessness, like because the dudes in the projects, they recognize their powerlessness.
Yeah.
They recognize that the system is just like completely fucked and against them. Whereas I feel like the Spencer family also kind of internalizes that powerlessness, but they have no like real vector of anger to direct it towards. So that's why Trump was so successful. Like he basically turned your anger that you feel at all times at any given point into frustration of the elites that are liberal, that have designed society in this way to fuck you over and fuck you over in ways like by allowing gay people to cohabitate.
It's all just the same shit as like programming fear into a large group of people.
Yeah.
Knowing what their insecurities are, capitalizing on them, turning them into the Spencer family for their own gain.
And liberals liberals certainly play a role in this as well, and outlets that are otherwise liberal also play a role in this as well. I think
mainstream media outlets, like, you know, they're pretty much all centrists, center right, I would say, and they create the same outrage machine, which is just, like I said, based upon selling ads and maintaining 24-hour news cycles full of what I wanted to say on CNN, which I couldn't say because I was just, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I had no idea I was going to even be asked about Enrique Tarrio. There's a big problem, I think, with like punditry and mainstream media. And, you know, if you turn on the TV anywhere in the country to cable news, as opposed to actual in the field reporting, it's basically just talking heads and pundits digesting things for you, telling you how to feel, and then bickering amongst each other because it's kind of entertaining reality TV.
Or even when they do actually do like man on the street shit, oftentimes they basically fucking hyper focus on it with a very liberal slant that I think overlooks the real situation on the ground. Like it's just local news does this all the fucking time. Like local broadcasters are incredibly reactionary, incredibly right wing. One of the greatest examples I use all the time is whenever there is like a looting or whenever there is like a situation on the ground, like they'll immediately call it like, oh, these are riots. And instead of looking at like why they're happening, and like you did when you went down there, when you went to Minneapolis, right? Instead of trying to understand why people are angry, they go to the business owners.
Yeah.
And they hear their perspective. It's like, why the fuck do I give a shit about the business owner's point of view? You know what I mean? Like, who cares?
But also it's like CNN does, you know, mainstream media does the same shit, you know, where they're like, these are mostly peaceful protests. Whereas protests don't have to be peaceful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that, you see what I'm saying when I say that it's also center right, because they're obsessed with pushing one narrative versus the other. Whereas like a protest can be violent and involve property destruction and still be valid, but there's no mix allowed, because it's either this is a pointless riot that is taking place so people can get just free shoes and shit, or like there's no riot happening.
Yeah.
And it's just such a strange thing, bro.
So joining us now is the director, producer, and stars in this documentary called This Place Rules, which debuts on HBO December 30th, Andrew Callahan. Andrew, I mean, this is a lot. This is a deep dive into this documentary, and there's so much to talk about.
I don't believe they had seen the documentary.
Yeah. Did you send them?
No, I mean, I just based upon the question. So bear in mind, this is 7 o'clock in the morning, right? I'm being told they're gonna ask me about me, my life, and the movie. You know, how does it feel to have a movie? What's your name? What can we expect to see? I want you to listen to the first question they ask me.
But you know, when it comes to what's happening today, Enrique Tarrio, he was not at the Capitol on the 6th, but he still played a role in this, and he's facing some of the most serious charges that are stemming from that day. What did you see from him as you were shooting this?
Yeah, I just talked to him in the lead up to the...
The first question they say is,
because
what can you tell us about the mental state of Enrique Tarrio leading up to the Capitol riot?
So the reason why they did that is because they don't give a fuck about the documentary. They don't give a fuck about your personal experiences or even like the contents of the documentary. They want to cut this as like something about Enrique Tarrio instead. They were just like, they're hyper focusing on that aspect, even though like that aspect is not all that unique or interesting in comparison to like the overarching message that you had in there.
Yeah, and
they have a narrative.
But that's like what they want, is to run like an Enrique Tarrio news cycle to get their viewers all pissed off about January 6th every single day and make it seem like it's 9/11 and it like you know, make their viewership never forget about the 6th like it was the worst day of history.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, like, dude,
it was 9/11 for liberals.
Kamala Harris actually said that. You've seen that speech, right?
Yeah. Well, it was in the documentary too.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, these are moments that we can never forget.
The January 6th Capitol riot. Hung out with him a little bit in DC and Miami and elsewhere.
And what did you learn about him?
He sells T-shirts.
That's the perfect way to describe him, though. I think one thing that the documentary showed me for sure, like before I was always like, you and I have even had this conversation in private where I was like, maybe, do you think Enrique Tarrio was a CIA, or not CIA, like an FBI asset or whatever, because like he had been an informant, right? And no, when you actually watch the documentary, you'll see like, dude, nah, he's just like a fucking T-shirt salesman.
Him and Alex Jones run the two largest Patriot merchandise companies on the internet.
Yeah.
And Enrique Tarrio sells Joe Biden merch on the side. So basically, when I say he's a T-shirt salesman, that's what I'm saying. That's
No,
the main thing
he
you know
literally
about
is like a
Enrique Tarrio.
merchandise salesman, and I think he even admits in the documentary that he sells Joe Biden shirts as well, secretly.
But this freaked me out so much because here I am on CNN, which is a pillar of American journalism, and they hit me with the curveball question at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm alone remotely in a room in Midtown Manhattan with the producer looking at me, and I didn't know what to say here. I was fucking terrified. I don't know if you can tell here, but like my heart was beating out of my chest in this moment.
I know the producer that is my friend's brother.
Hell yeah, he was nice. But I'm saying that question also potentially puts me in danger. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're asking me to make a pointed statement about like a right-wing leader like that. Like if I say something incriminating, negative, that puts a target on my head, dude.
Yeah.
Just it does.
The
Like,
Proud Boys.
Oh, it also like kind of cucks your future journalistic endeavors as well when you have a way of opening a lot of these people up and having them be honest with you that you probably wouldn't want to compromise either.
I plan to cover these events in the future. I plan to do more stuff on the right, on the left, and all types of subcultures and fringes and whatever. So if I say something damning about Enrique Tarrio, that puts me in a lot of danger at a future event that I might cover because they're like, that's the guy who said that Enrique Tarrio wanted the Capitol riot to happen or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So no details about his involvement, his state of mind, or anything?
I mean, I don't think the movie's not just about like the Capitol riot and all that. It's also about like media echo chambers. You know what I mean? And like the dangers of the 24-hour news cycle and how I think mainstream media like Fox and even CNN like competes for views by running
Go back to 3 seconds. Listen to that pen click.
And then like competes for views by running.
Who's doing that? Don Lemon is doing that. He's just pissed off. He's frustrated.
I think the pen click is some kind of like signifier to the producers.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Like cut this guy off. Listen to it again. If you want to hear it.
Constant 24-hour news cycles based upon fear, division, outrage, and panic, probably to like sell ads. So it's not just about the Capitol riot.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. First of all, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'm not exactly sure of how that played into people going into the Capitol.
I mean, no, but he's a pundit. Like, he's a pundit. The difference between me and like Don Lemon, though, is that like I openly tell you what my perspective is, right? Like where they are supposed to be the arbiter of truth and objective news analysis.
Well, then it's reasonable that a pundit would understand a valid concern with the 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah,
and the fear machine it creates, right?
But of course, he's that's his bread and butter.
Yeah, but it's not like an offense. I wasn't like being a dick. I was just bringing up something that is addressed in the movie.
There's nothing fake about CNN.
I didn't say.
I'm not saying like fake news. I'm just saying ramping people up and increasing division.
You see how he instantly went for the fake news thing?
Yeah. Well, that's to vilify you to the audience because that's
to pre-cancel the documentary.
Well, it's to basically just say, well, I don't think they were going to be able to cancel it because
I'm
you're
just saying,
not.
like they're trying to make it. They're trying to make me seem like I am a.
I think in that moment he's trying to put you in a pocket and basically say that like, oh, you're saying CNN is fake news, so that the audience that's already conditioned into saying, oh, what the fuck is this guy like a right wing guy?
Yeah.
To go, oh yeah, he must be a right wing guy because he's saying CNN is fake news, and I'm conditioned into knowing that that's like a right wing thing to say.
And during that period of time, just watching people kind of fall down the rabbit hole and be pushed into action and like, just falling down the conspiracy rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think more people would consider what's happening online and what happened with the former president and the messaging that he was putting out there and QAnon and so forth.
I definitely agree 100% with that as well.
Yeah. So listen,
and to be fair, I do think that.
So many
I mean, look, CNN is not the same as like Fox News, but CNN also plays a role in this for sure.
Well, I'm saying online echo chambers are definitely more damaging and effective for propaganda than like the mainstream media outrage. Yeah. But two things can be true at one time with this stuff.
It's in your documentary, including a weightlifting scene with conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Listen to how
he's literally he's saying that you're friends with the people.
Next thing he says, listen to the way he phrases it. It's a why question. Listen.
Yeah, why did you humanize Alex Jones? Is the question.
Yeah, for sure. He can bench press a lot, actually.
why would you put that in? Why'd you spend so much time with him, and why is he such a big part of this film?
Well, I mean,
Dude,
you know, I just think that like
do you hear the way
when
that
we were
question was
filming
asked?
for the documentary.
Yeah, no,
It was
he's
an accusatory question.
no,
Why
I mean,
would
it's clear. Like he hit you with the fake news thing, and now he's saying like you're homies with Alex Jones. It's done in a way that there's like still an out for him to be like, well, I mean, I was just saying like, how does Alex Jones's role in January 6th work? But he's not
Yeah.
just asking that. He's asking you, why are you hanging out with Alex Jones? Maybe they're just jealous though. Have
Yeah.
you considered that?
I mean,
maybe they want to hang out with Alex Jones.
Unfortunately, Alex doesn't like me anymore.
Yeah.
It's because of the interview I did with him after the Sandy Hook trial.
Yeah.
You know, there's that part where he's on hot mic.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
asking his producer, like, do I sound good? Is this a good thing that I'm doing? He called me and was like, anyone who uses hot mic audio is no friend to me.
Yeah. Which it's not worse than the shit he says on camera.
No, but right. But I'm saying it was sort of the curtain
Yeah.
being pulled back as like, you know, it kind of shows that he's doing like a crazy guy thing
Yeah.
to get himself out of it.
God, one of the best parts is like you guys working out together though.
Yeah. Dude, I had a fun time filming that.
Yeah. He is.
He can lift. I was saying, dude, he's strong as fuck.
He's got like dad strength. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where you're like, he's taut.
There was just certain moments that were super surreal that just kind of happened, and I felt like we had to kind of leave the footage in. So the Alex Jones weightlifting, whiskey drinking scene would also be one of those moments that I couldn't like leave out of the movie.
One thing that also stood out was what you heard from people when it comes to like conspiracy theories. I mean, there were parts where like children were shouting.
He looks so pissed.
Why is he so mad?
He's so mad. Like she's younger. I think she's more sympathetic to like your. I mean, I've seen her on some panels where she's like also the same like neoliberal like girl boss shit, like doing that stuff. But you know, she does, given her age, she's probably more familiar with your content and like more sympathetic to like the documentary in general. Whereas Don is giving up.
He's furious, dude. And it's not like I called him out. I just talked about the network that he works at.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, but you
No,
know,
I'm
he
just
is
saying,
the face of the network.
Yeah, but it's not him specifically.
Yeah, he is not happy here with you.
He could technically
Conspiracy
get a different
theories. And I wondered, as you talked to these people, if you got the sense that they actually believed what they were saying or what your takeaway was.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people, you know, believe what they're saying. I just think that like, you know, the echo chambers in the media, especially more fringe media that a lot of these people are consuming, is pretty all-encompassing, and especially the mythology of QAnon like consumed a lot of people's lives during this period of time, and it kind of like just became everything they wanted to fight for up until the Capitol riot. So that particular scene where I spoke with that family in Georgia, where it was like that the structure and whole basis of their family was like based upon Q and following that kind of lore, was definitely unsettling for sure. But yeah, it's interesting to see where it is now because, you know, I guess hard QAnon stuff has kind of dissipated in terms of
Dude,
like,
I sound
you know,
like
no
such
one
a,
posts on the
a
cue boards
stoned
anymore. but it's kind of-
California guy. You know what I
No,
mean?
you
It's like
sound-
6 a.m. I look like I'm high as shit. I'm like, yeah, it's like a.
No, you sound great, bro. You're crazy.
You know, this family's all like super.
You sound great. What are you talking about?
dude,
It's-
I sound
bled
dumb
into, like,
shit.
main-
no, it's because you're like surprisingly for someone who's on camera all the time. I guess you're not used to like seeing yourself on camera in
No,
a
I
professional
never
setting
do
like
this.
this. Yeah, no, that's just what it is. It's like jitters that come after you do it a million times over. Trust me, you won't give a shit. You sound great.
conservative thought.
All right.
I do think we should point out a lot of those conspiracies are not from legitimate media. That's from like social media and websites
Oh,
where
yeah,
those
yeah,
things are
totally,
pushed in
totally,
like dark
but-
corners of the internet.
Oh yeah, but it's like people spend their whole time in these dark corners of the internet, so it feels very real to them, especially because I think the biggest problem is probably media literacy and like taking a lot of this information that's false as fact because of, you know, you're seeing it on Facebook, you're seeing it on Newsmax, you're seeing it on One American News Network, places like that.
Yeah. Andrew Callahan, thank you very much. Best of luck with this. This Place Rules debuts on HBO and streams on HBO Max. That's on December 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't get the Enrique Tarrio shit out of you, so he was like, "Oh fuck this guy."
Should have just started crying, talking about how Enrique Tarrio is like,
Should have been like, "Yeah,
he's
Enrique."
a monster.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely sucks, but like, like that's my personal
I
assessment.
interviewed him like 2 years ago, man. Like,
Yeah, it was great overall though. Like I do hope that it pops off. I don't think did HBO do a lot of marketing around it. I feel like they haven't.
no, not really. I
It's
mean,
like kind of a sleeper, which I don't appreciate. I wish they like promoted it more. You know what I mean?
dude. It'll promote itself if it's good and people like it. No promotion budget can bring it there. I think that I don't know. A lot of people are talking about it. I hope. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I loved it. We'll see what happens.
At the same time, too, I barely even care. I'm just like happy to make something that on that big of a platform. Like, it's all
Yeah.
good.
There have been a ton of ads. Wait, really? You've seen ads of the documentary?
Nah, there's no ads.
I haven't seen any ads on the documentary at all. But yeah, it was great. I mean, there's so many good fucking moments in it. One of the things I wanted to, let me see. I put some fucking notes down when I was like watching it too, which was so sick. The Trump blonde lady, like the rapping teacher was awesome. Because like at first I didn't notice that she was like a Trump supporter. So it like caught me by surprise at first. And she was gonna say like, I thought she was gonna be like a still kind of weird liberal. And then she like, when she turned around and was like, yeah, COVID is fake and all this shit. And I was like, oh my God, like Jesus Christ. One thing to mention that I also loved was the woman who was like, I'm apolitical and Trump is gonna get raped in prison.
Oh yeah, that was crazy, dude. Yeah, she definitely had the derangement syndrome or whatever.
But that's what that is like. I feel like that's almost on the same vein as like the QAnon people. Obviously not to the same degree, of like mania, but like she is a byproduct of consuming too much CNN.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that like she is not genuinely interested in truly helping in any sort of like emancipatory cause for immigrants, for black people. Andrew, don't hang out with this commie. It's funny. She's not like, these are the same people that like basically now ride for Title 42, which is like a Trump administration era policy, COVID protection measure, right? That stopped asylum seekers from legally seeking asylum, a human rights abuse, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's definitely a victim of the outrage machine for sure, because like, she's not even really politically involved aside from just having this like burning outrage for just Trump as an individual.
Yeah.
Like, no, not really caring about any deeper systematic problems or actual social issues, just being like, Trump sucks ass, that's my personality.
Yeah, exactly. And there were so many people were like that. Yeah, so many people were like that. The get back to brunch liberals, right? Like it's normal now. Things are back to normal.
Like most liberals, dude.
Yeah, things are totally back to normal. Everyone is back to like their regular order of business, and all of the problems that they were like screaming about, they persist.
Yeah.
Poverty, the structural violence of poverty still very much exists in the lives of all of those people. Police brutality, still a significant problem in black communities. If anything, it's gotten worse as far as like the amount of, as far as like the budgets and the way that we analyze the police, or the way that we look at the police. Like they used the defund the police movement and the BLM protest to like, they weaponized it against like black people. And now also, cops get bigger budgets than ever. And they still, people are still saying like, oh, these cities are crime ridden, and it's because we're not respecting cops enough.
Dude, when I was in Seattle, I like rented a Camaro or some like super douchebag car just for fun, cause like, and my fucking back window got like busted out with a crowbar or some shit. My backpack got stolen, and so I called the cops. I normally don't call the police, but if you file a claim or whatever on a rental car, you can get like refunded. So I just had to file like a basic report talking about what happened. So I called him like, hey, I want to file a report about how like my car got broken into so I can submit this shit to Enterprise to get a refund. And the dispatch guy on the phone was like, well, since they defunded us and everything, like, it's going to be, I'd be surprised if we get there in a couple hours. Like, you're better off using the online portal, and it takes 4 to 6 weeks. I was like, I fucking know that you could help me right now. Yeah. I know that you just actually are purposely not doing your job to prove a point to your own city, the citizens of Seattle. And I've heard hella stories like that. Like,
it's just like, it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. Like, what do you mean defunded? Like, that's not a thing. Also, one of the other parts about this is like, even before the defund the police movement, like propaganda, the counter propaganda existed, it's not like cops were fucking great at like claims like that anyway. They never did anything. Like anyone whose iPhone has ever been stolen way back in the day, when you could just like directly figure out exactly what building the motherfuckers were in. Like I've had my shit stolen in basketball courts and stuff. You know what I mean? It happens. I know where it is. I know where my fucking phone is, and I want to get it back, but I can't, because like, it's not like a cop is ever going to be like, yeah, let's go retrieve your possession. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. It's not a thing that ever happens. You're not getting your shit back. Cops will just tell you, yeah, GG's, good luck. Good luck on your endeavor.
Yeah, but to hear them actually pretend like they can't do their job anymore because of the defund the police movement is insane. Like, they still have a lot of fucking funding.
Yeah. No, they never got defunded. That was a fucking complete lie, but it doesn't matter. Like in
Portland, they actually have more funding. No.
Yeah, no, everywhere around the country, they got more funding than the year prior, and yet they complain and they're just somehow shittier at their jobs than they were already, and they were pretty fucking shitty at their jobs to begin with. So, you know, that's just how it is. Okay, all right. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. You know, thank you so much for coming, Andrew. This was wonderful. This was a fucking awesome experience to have you back on the show.
Always a pleasure.
And you know, you're in LA for a while, right? We'll hang out.
Going to El Paso soon.
Oh, okay. Never mind. We won't hang out.
Oh, we'll hang out.
Before you leave. All right. Well, hopefully everybody gets to watch it. Anything you want to promote, go ahead.
Yeah, just go to HBO Max and watch This Place Rules and tell me what you guys think.
And patreon.com/channel5.
Yeah, join Patreon if you guys want to.
Yeah.
Patreon, optional. This Place Rules, I would highly recommend that you watch it because I worked on it for 2 years and it's my first movie. It's my directorial debut.
Hell yeah. And it was a wonderful one. Yeah, Brace made a cameo. Not the boy, which is fine. Not the kid. I did not make a cameo in the documentary.
The kid will make a cameo
in the second one, hopefully.
You can be in Kelly J. Patriot.
In the what? You're doing that?
Do you want to be in Kelly J. Patriot?
Sure. Okay. I mean, I've hung out with him.
Cool. We can talk about homes being stolen and such. No one even knows that how good the Kelly J. Patriot documentary is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's hung out with him, I can sense that it will be very good,
dude. Because okay, before I go, I love This Place Rules, but the scope was so massive. You know, I'm making a movie about a huge event, January 6th, that has so much to it that couldn't make the cut, and obviously different angles that weren't in my narrative because it was just my perspective on it. The Kelly J. Patriot movie is like full coverage of like a family, and I'm just excited about it. But I'm really excited about This Place Rules too.
Yeah,
go watch it. If you want to, but you fucking should because it's good, I think.
Yeah, it is really good. We're gonna hype it up so that they give you more money and you make more cool documentaries. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, man.
Appreciate it.
All right.